Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Inside the U live postgame show. Miami gets a big win, 85-64, improves to 20-8 overall, 12-5 in the ACC. Jim Larranaga ties the school record with his 220th win, ties Bruce Hale. So a lot to get into. Miami pretty much dominated this one from start to finish, gets out to that 14-2 start. We will go straight to Jim Larranaga when he's available on Zoom calls. Shout out to everybody that's here for this live postgame show, and also hopefully we get some players. But a big win for Miami, the 14-2 start, and then all of a sudden Pittsburgh fights back to make it 14-12, and then Miami goes on from there, gets that big 20-point lead at halftime, 47-27, one of their best first halves of the season. They established a record. They go 59% in the first half, a record, I want to say a season high this year. So 59%, they shoot 55 for the game. Cam McGusty, 19 points. Charlie Moore, 19 points. Both those guys got it going in the first half. And then kind of cruise from there. Jordan Miller chips in 12. Sam Wardenberg, 12 as well. I thought this was a complete all-around performance. You don't see games like this so dominating on the road. And Miami's been so good on the road. They improved to 8-2 on the road this year. And that's the best road record in the ACC, which is great to see. We've got Coach here right now.
Got Miami head coach Jim Larranaga here after the 220th win of his Miami tenure, tying Bruce Hale for the program record. I'm going to step outside, but Coach, you want to start with an opening statement?
Well, of course, it's always good to win a conference game, especially on the road, and especially when we played so well in the first half and were able to get a commanding lead. And then we were able to sustain our efforts for most of the second half. And got to give a lot of credit to our seniors. They did a great job. So very, very happy winning 20 games, having a very solid record in the ACC regular season so far. But we got a lot of work still ahead of us.
If you have questions for Coach, please use the hand raise function and wait to be called on. We'll start with Chris Stock from InsideTheU.
Coach, again, the first half and really just complete the way you guys played defensively and offensively. You had to be pretty pleased in the way you guys are playing down the stretch here in the regular season.
Yeah, I said that the regular season is a marathon, and we told the team there's 4 miles left. Today was one of the 4, and now we have 3 miles left. And in order to win a marathon, you got to play your best or run your best at the end of the race. And that's what we're trying to do. We played a very good game from start to finish tonight.
Go to Cal Friedman from Kane Sport. Cal.
Coach, congratulations on the win. Your team scored 30 points off of turnovers tonight and had 10 points on fast break. How much do you practice executing off of mistakes from the opposition?
We practice offense, we practice defense. The defense is predicated on trying to force turnovers. When people look at defense, they often look at just your defensive field goal percentage. But if a team, if we turn them over a lot, let's say, I'll just use as a general example. I don't know how many turnovers it had tonight, but if a team has 40 shots and you force 20 turnovers and they made, 20 out of the 40 and it looks like they shot 50%, that's not really the case because they were really 20 for 60. They had 60 opportunities and 20 of them we forced a turnover. So I thought our defense was very good tonight. I thought in the second half, Pitt did a really good job of just trying to get Hughley the ball. They got us in a little bit of foul trouble. And I just feel like we need to get back home. It's going to be a very late night and get some rest and get ready for Saturday.
Go to Luke Chaney from the Miami Hurricane. Luke.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations on the win. It appeared near the end of the game that Kim Auguste may have jammed his finger or something like that. Is there anything worth noting in regard to that?
Yeah, he jammed his finger. We'll have to see, how bad it is tomorrow.
Go back to Chris Stock.
Coach, can you talk about just Cam's season? What do you think has enabled him to have this kind of year, to build on what he's done the last couple seasons for you? What do you think has been the big factor for him to have this kind of season?
I think he's had multiple good seasons. This is the best, and I think his maturity, his age, and his consistency of effort every day in practice and every game. He shot the ball very well tonight. We shot the ball as a team very well tonight. So he's our leader. He and Charlie Moore, I think, were both great in the first half. And Isaiah was not as proficient as he normally is. So we needed Charlie and Cam and Sam to step up, and Jordan. Jordan was terrific. So those guys all chipped in. And then I can give compliment Booga Poplar and Bensley Joseph and Anthony Walker and Dengak. They came in off the bench and gave us some quality minutes.
And Coach, the 220, tying the school record, what does that mean to you? And kind of, I know you're focused on the now, but if you could just reflect on what you've been able to do at Miami here.
I'm very proud of what my staff has accomplished. It's very challenging coaching in the ACC against all these great coaches and all these great players. When you think at one time we had 4 Hall of Fame coaches in Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Rick Pitino, and Roy Williams. Now Coach K is stepping down, but we have, in my mind, at least 2 more Hall of Fame coaches in Leonard Hamilton, and Tony Bennett, I think, is a lock. He's done such a fantastic job wherever he's been. So when you're coaching against, guys who have been, so successful, and yet we've been able to compete pretty well. I'm proud of our teams, the players who have won those games for us, and my staff who recruited those guys and helped prepare us to win those games.
Anything else for Coach O? All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
So it looks like that's going to wrap things up there. We don't get any players, and Pittsburgh, we're not going to be able to get their coach as well. So we'll just, talk about the game here. What you guys saw definitely in the chat. I was trying to answer a few of the questions, but I saw Chris with Anthony Walker. Hopefully he addressed a little bit of some of the guys on the bench that are key. So I thought that was good. He's talked a lot about, the bench. And as we look here, kind of the big stats, he has said this, Mark, before. Look, this is not a bench that's going to give them a lot of points. And I don't want to talk about the bench too much today because the starters really got it going. But, Coach said, realistically, if they could get 10 to 20 points off the bench, that's a good mark for them. So you see it here, and they got a little bit more minutes as the game got out of hand, but great. Just Anthony Walker, you touched on the energy. That dunk was big. You'll see that. I was hoping to get a clip of that to show you guys. I've got some clips that I've kind of been putting together, but Walker gets 7 points. That was good. The aggressiveness there. 6 rebounds is good too. You see him as a +8 in his 20 minutes. And then Bensley Joseph knocks down a couple threes, which is good. He's a guy that's not going to shoot a lot off the bench, but just, to get out there, knock down a couple threes, I thought was good. Especially he had that either a dunk attempt or a layup attempt blocked there, but he was able to knock down a couple threes. You get the free throws late from Rodney Miller. Good to see him get in there. He has not been in there very often. And his last game was January 29th. So good to see him out there. And he's one of these 4 seniors on the team, a veteran guy providing good leadership there, even though he's not playing. And then Wooga Poplar, gets a bucket, makes a 3 and knocks down a free throw. Someone did mention, Kevin mentioned, a couple things, with Cam and his jam finger. Hopefully he's okay there. It looks like just a simple basketball thing. Hopefully it's nothing like a slight fracture or anything like that. It was a ball if you didn't see it, it was a ball. He kind of jumped a passing lane late in the game, deflected off his hands. it reminded me earlier in the game, he made a play like that, but was able to come down with the steal. He almost got it again, but the ball kind of goes off his hands awkwardly. Hopefully, again, just a jam finger. I assume he'll be okay. Miami's next game is Saturday. You heard Coach talk about, I was able to ask him about the school record. He's a guy that doesn't talk much about his accomplishments. And I thought it was good just to ask him to see what he thought of it. And he made some good points. Look, this is a conference that's not easy to win games. And honestly, another thing he didn't touch on, but I will, but it's not a conference that's easy to have longevity in it, because you can have down seasons, or, you move on from your program and for whatever reason, haven't been at a school for this long, and it allows you to kind of rack up wins. And he's certainly been successful in having these kind of years. And I think this is a year we will look on as a really big year for Miami basketball to bounce back after what happened last year and what has happened in the last 3 seasons. This is a team that you should be excited about. This is a team that definitely, I felt like today, look, they could have went to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not having a good season. They dropped 11-18. This is a team that Miami could have lost to. They could have, just come out flat on the road, but they didn't do that. Hughley, you saw him get the 20 points. He provides some mismatch issues for Miami. But Miami did a good job. They jump out 14-2, and I thought that was great to start a game like that on the road, really get the momentum going. You're not coming out flat. I think that's a good job, and I think, this team is certainly, while they still need some more wins, but with where they're at right now, they should be able to get enough wins. They should be an NCAA tournament team. They're sitting on the positive side of the bubble, and I think a loss at Pittsburgh would have hurt their chances or hurt their resume, but they're doing a lot of positive things. Again, the 20-8 record right now, they should be able to get at least 1 or 2 more wins, maybe 3 for the rest of the way. Miami's playing opponents that they're going to be favored in, that they're ahead of in the standings. We can take a look at the standings right here to see if it's updated. I always like showing you guys this. It is updated. So the Miami Pitt game was the only game on hand tonight in the ACC. So Miami gets the win. They go to tie for 3rd with North Carolina. They own the tiebreaker over UNC. The big thing there is top 4 seeds get the double bye in the ACC tournament. Looks like Duke's going to go ahead and win the conference, the regular season, unless they falter. They do still play North Carolina. But, the way it stands, Miami's right there in that top 4 seeds. And again, you don't want to get that 6th loss. You see what's standing behind them if they get that 6th loss with Wake Forest and Virginia outside the top 4. So Miami stays in the top 4. The one thing that's standing out to me with Miami's tournament resume is their quad 1 victories record. Their victories. They're 4-1 against quad 1 teams. And the way things work, Miami, that's going to be measured very heavily, I feel like. I think that's a very positive sign for Miami. Pittsburgh would not have been, it's not a quad 1 game. It would have been a disappointing loss, and Miami did exactly what they should. They're the better team. They came out today and rolled, and I thought it was great. From start to finish, they never trailed. Once it got 14-12, they didn't let Pitt back in the game. They rolled out the rest of the way. And in the first half, 47-27 at halftime. It's almost unheard of in ACC competition. So a lot of praise goes around. Starting, touched on with Cam McGusty, I was able to ask Coach, if you guys jumped on late. Coach joined us for about 5 minutes or so, talked about the team and, just the season that they're having. They're 20-8. They went, they just didn't have a very good year last year, so that's very impressive. But Cam McGusty's having a really impressive year. One thing I can kind of say to you guys, kind of announce, I will be an all ACC voter once again this year. I'm happy to do it. I always like doing that. I watch a lot of ACC basketball, not just Miami. So, and I can say, Cam McGusty is putting together a strong resume to be a first team all ACC performer. He's playing on a good team, a team at the top of the conference. He's leading them in scoring. He's averaging about 18 points a game almost. And I think it's very impressive the season that he's having this year compared to the last 2. Coach mentioned he's had good years, but yeah, this is his best year. He's played a lot of games over his last 2 years, averaging about 13 points a game, 13-3 last year. So to increase it closer to 18, that's a big jump for a player. And what's impressive to me is it's not just, he's getting more minutes or scores are leaving, that kind of thing. He was the guy last year. He's just a lot better this year. And one thing that's standing out to me, I touched on the steals, but his all around game is even better. He's rebounding better. He's finding passes. He's going to the lane. He's kind of just doing everything for this team. I think it's great. And It showed tonight on a night where Isaiah Wong was off. I did want to ask Coach about it, fairly or unfairly. I did want to ask him. I asked a few questions. Sometimes I don't know how many questions I'm going to get, but I would definitely like to talk to Coach as much as possible. But Isaiah, 2 for 10, 4 points. It's not just that because you miss some shots. It happens. But, no rebounds. You would like to see him a little bit more aggressive there, do it in other ways. He had the 1 assist. I felt like that came late because earlier when I was checking, he had no assists. So, he got a little bit of foul trouble in the first half. He only had like 9 minutes. Just not a great performance by him, but it didn't need to be. I thought that was a good sign. I talk a lot about how Miami needs Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong to have good games for them to win. And I think it's a good sign of a team that when they're not at their best, that they can still win like this. And they were not at their best in terms of Isaiah scoring, but they didn't need him tonight. And I think that's a good sign moving forward because you want guys to be able to step up. And we've talked about this next group of role players with Jordan Miller and Sam Wardenberg. Sam hits the 3 early, stays involved. Both of these guys, you look at them, they go 10 for 13 together, combined go for 24 points. That's excellent productivity from these guys. They're doing a great job in their roles. And if you heard the broadcast, Miller's shooting over 70% from 2. I didn't realize it was that high. But he's a guy, one of those lefties that makes it tough. He's not the biggest guy, but he has got that good size at 6'7". He can finish at the rim. He's just a really good dunker as well. He finishes at the basket, does a great job, and I think he's very important for Miami. I will have more on Jordan Miller. I was able to ask Coach about Miller's importance and kind of the future as well. I'll have an article on InsideTheU.com later in the week on that. I also have some other things I'm working on. So you guys got to stay tuned either to the channel or the website. I got some stuff I'm working on that I'm excited about before Miami's next game on Saturday against Virginia Tech. It's a home game. I think that'd be a great time for Miami either to show up, but just play really well and get Coach the school record in victories. This will be a really big game for him. I think a lot of players will say a lot of positive things about Coach. He kind of shied away from it, but he did say, he's really happy for the staff, and I think of a guy like Chris Caputo who's been with him at Miami for the entirety of his tenure here, and he would coach with them before. So a lot of praise to go all the way around. Once again, this team is playing well. This team has a lot of respect from the other ACC coaches. We've talked about this quite a bit, and you saw it again tonight. Coach Capel's team, even though they're down, just 6-12 now in the ACC, they came into this game winning 3 of 4. They did just beat North Carolina a couple games ago. So this is a team that had been playing better, and certainly Miami did everything they could to erase any sort of upset alert type stuff going on. And they did that. This was a great performance. They did well on offense and defense. I do want to make a mention. I wrote down, one of the things Coach said. I thought that was interesting. I want to bring up the stats here. And I do want to work on a little bit of, see if I can get a couple clips here. But, one of the things Coach mentioned about the defense, they had the 20 turnovers for Pitt. It led to 30 points off turnovers. You can see it there on the stats off to the right there. But I thought that was great. Obviously, the points off turnovers is big. He was asked about that. It was a good question. It was one I had written down that I wanted to touch on. But one of the things he mentioned about the defense was about opposing field goal percent, which I hadn't heard it phrased like that. And I think it's a way to deflect a little bit. But certainly in a blowout win, there's a lot of things you do well defensively. But he did note, 48%, for example, it actually played out with what he was talking about. 48% is a high percentage for an opponent to shoot. That's not ideal, that by itself. However, 20 turnovers on top of it, you'll take that every game. That might be, I could check real quick here to see where that ranks. That's a season high for a Miami opponent. It was 19 before against Syracuse. That was really impressive. So to be able to do that, you would take that every time. And I think that just shows you kind of defensively, you can't just look at one particular stat, because what he was saying was that's 20 more possessions, essentially empty possessions, essentially 0 for 20, that he feels like you stack that on top of the field goal percent, and it kind of brings that down a little bit, is what he was kind of saying. So it's overall the possession, that's where the analytics stuff comes in with defensive rating. Defensive win shares is more of a personal thing. That's something they do in the NBA. But yeah, there's other things to look at other than just field goal percent. It was just a different way of explaining things. I thought that was good just to hear that from Coach there. The other thing, I haven't even mentioned Charlie Moore. I touched on Cam. He's having a great season. Charlie Moore, obviously, as well. He was someone that I wasn't expecting to have this kind of year, but he's been very good for Miami, and he was very good again tonight. He has this potential of getting past that, 12 point. He has a chance to go for 12, 15, 18, 20. 19 tonight was great, 7 to 10. So I thought that was great. He played very well in the first half. Really had that energy that he needed. And also, I want to check here on the steals, how many he had there. He just got credit for the one steal, but I thought he did a good job defensively, being in passing lanes. Ball pressure was good. It's not his strength with his pressure. He does a really good job of reading. That's why he leads the ACC in steals. He's another guy that I mentioned in terms of McGusty, but he's a guy that will certainly be in contention for all ACC honors. I think there's a lot of attention on him for helping change the direction of the team after what happened last year. So he comes in, transfers in from DePaul, and is playing at a high level. And you see transfers around the country that Jordan Miller as well. He's fit in well. His role's a little bit different than Charlie's, but not all transfers just automatically transfer their stats to the next team or their play. And you could argue Charlie's even better with his team than he was at DePaul last year. DePaul struggled last year, and you could say he's even better. I know he's shooting better the last time I checked, so that's a big increase. And it's really impressive to see a guy like that, even though they're going against better competition. But what might be happening, I'd be interested in finding out from Charlie, is maybe his teammates, just having better teammates, better play there is helping as well, in addition to the coaching and fitting into the system. So one of the things that I made mention on the boards leading into this game was just how much of a veteran team this is. And we brought it up before, but coaches on Monday during the ACC teleconference brought it up again, just Miami's veteran team. And I think that's something that we've got to take a look at a little bit more moving forward with how we evaluate in the preseason, because it seems to be such a big important factor for Miami when they have these veteran guys. Cam McGusty, 24 years old. Charlie Moore just turned 24. These guys are older, and it's crazy when the thing I mentioned on the site was, look, that's older than a lot of NBA All-Stars. It's really crazy. Jason Tatum, for example, is 23. John Morant, 20. So these guys are 22, but these guys are younger. LaMelo Ball is only 20. So it's just crazy when you look at it like that. So Miami's doing an excellent job. These guys are playing well together. That's the most important thing. But again, a good performance by Charlie Moore and these other guys as well. I did make mention. I want to just kind of update you guys a little bit. We can look real quick at the scoreboard here as I bring this other stuff up. I want to make mention of kind of where Miami stands coming into the game in terms of the NCAA tournament projections. There were 3 that I look at right now in terms of where Miami is, if they're in or they're out, what seed they're at right now. So coming into the game, the latest projections, bracketology projections, it's a 10 seed by ESPN Joe Lunardi. One of the last 4 teams to receive that bye, which is basically the old first round. So 10 seed there, 11 seed by CBS Sports and Jerry Palm, and then a 10 seed by EvanMia.com. We've talked about Evan before. So right at that 10-11 spot, we will see how things can kind of move forward for Miami as they look to progress. Again, down the stretch, they got Virginia Tech. Then they also play Boston College and Syracuse. 2 teams, Syracuse is right in the middle. They got some scoring punch there. We'll definitely talk about that later. But, that ends the season. And then Boston College, a team that struggled. So that's a team that they should certainly win against. And then Virginia Tech. Miami played a close game. That's the one where Charlie Moore hit the buzzer beater at half court to win the game. Virginia Tech have been playing a little bit better of late. So it'll be interesting to see how Miami does in that one as they square off again. This time it's in Coral Gables at the Watsco Center. We'll leave up this. I'm going to see if I can show you guys a couple clips from the game real quick. For those who didn't get a chance to see it, and just a chance to see Miami and kind of how they looked in the game, and particularly with Charlie Moore and Cam McGusty and kind of how they're doing. Let's see if we can bring this up here. But definitely want to thank everybody for jumping on for the postgame show. It's great. Again, we got some comments from Coach. There's a lot to talk to. It's crazy that I can't believe there's only 3 games left in the regular season. The ACC tournament will start March 8th. Again, Miami's fighting for that double bye, which would be huge. One of my most memorable times covering the Hurricanes. I can't believe this is coming up on my 20th year. But one of my most memorable times of covering Miami was the only ACC tournament I went to, which was in 2013, the one that Miami won. It was a lot of fun. As it gets closer, maybe I'll talk a little bit about some of the memories there. But I do want to show you a little bit about the game here.
More. These 2 guys really set.
All right. Here we go. Little footage from the game. Some highlights from the ACC Network. Here we go.
The tone for this game. Charlie Moore knocks down the first 3 to start the game, and then Cam McGusty goes to work attacking the basket. The 2 combined for 30 points in the first half. But more importantly, what they do defensively, the steals, the deflections to get them into opportunities on the offensive end of the floor. They do the best job possible when you consider both of these guys in the top 5 in the ACC in steals. Charlie Moore.
You know, one of the things that stands out to me.
And he really is the quarterback for this team.
Well, the backcourt has been the story all season long for Miami, and it was again tonight behind Moore and company as Miami wins it. And are now 20-8 on the season. The dynamic duo tonight, each with 19 points. They also hit the glass.
So here we go. Again, just some footage from the ACC Network from the game. What stands out to me, even just looking at the highlights, again, we touched on Cam McGusty, but just this driving ability, his aggressiveness of going to the basket, not just being a jump shooter, has been a lot of fun to watch him kind of progress with his season, and I think certainly a big part in how he's doing. Just with his involvement of being a better player. And I think that's been great. It's been key for Miami. Again, if shots not falling, get to the basket. You saw it in the highlights there. And I think that stands out too, just kind of a note. Once again, just both guys were efficient. That's what we saw from Miami tonight. 55% from the field as a team. A lot of guys shooting well. 7 for 13 for McGusty, 7 of 10 for Charlie Moore. So really great performances by both guys. McGusty 3 of 5 from 3, and then Charlie Moore goes 2 of 5. So good performance all around. A lot of important things. I see some excitement from Dennis. The team is going dancing. Yes, I think it's that time. Like everyone's been excited about, or maybe not. Maybe you've been kind of waiting for this team to falter. Maybe you don't believe in this team quite yet. But this is a team that's put together a strong resume. I touched on the quad 1 wins. They beat Duke and North Carolina. They did well there. They beat Wake Forest, another team. They've already beat them twice. Another team at the top of the conference there, one of those top 6 teams. They've lost twice to Virginia, and then they lost there to Notre Dame. But overall, you're playing well against the better teams, and that's really important. That's a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting to see Miami in the NCAA tournament once again. It has been a while. Last time was 2018. The 3 years since then, losing seasons, Miami not even close, not even in the NIT. So this is great. This is a team that's certainly building its resume. Playing well down the stretch is always important in terms of making a run. And I think one of the things that we can start to talk about is, matchups. How will Miami do in the tournament? How will they look? And also, one of the things that's kind of escaped them, they've not done well in the tournament in terms of getting wins. And I think that's going, of late, I think that's going to be something that they're going to look to do. Hopefully they can get, at least a win or two, get past that first weekend, which would be a huge accomplishment. Miami's the furthest they've ever been is the Sweet 16, which they've done 3 times. So certainly that's great to see there. So definitely want to wrap this up. Again, more content coming, not just on this game, but with this basketball team in general. I touched on Jordan Miller, and then something else that I've been working on that I'm excited about that I don't want to tease too much until it's done. I don't want to get your hopes up, but it's something I'm excited about, and you'll see why if I can get it done. So thanks again for everybody for jumping on here. You can watch this thing back. Again, Coach Larranaga, a few minutes into it, Coach is there, And if you haven't paid attention to this, the way I do it is I'll break it down into chapters. So you can, if you just want to go straight to Coach, you can listen to him, and then we could talk about some of the things that I had to say. And you can just kind of see this in segments. Unfortunately, no players tonight, but that's okay. We'll get them soon. Hopefully, we can talk to them next time. So I want to thank everybody for being here. A lot of great people in here, a lot of diehard fans, which I love to see. And just a huge shout out to everybody that's watching this after the fact that you don't get a chance to watch it live. So just want to shout out to you guys as well. So thanks again for watching, and take care.